Is it hard to access affordable, healthy food? Then listen carefully. Daryl Addison, an African-American inventor, has patented a process for growing food on demand. He called it Torpedo Pot. Torpedo Pot is a fully automated flower pot that gives you control over your plant's environment. All you do is add soil, seeds, and plants to the flower pot and watch it grow. Yes, Torpedo Pot grows the rest. Visit www.torpedopot.com.
Salibonani, unjani, makadini. Hello everyone, welcome back to another broadcast of the African Diaspora News Channel with me, your host, Maritawana Dhliwayo. Now, I am of course back here again with part 2 of tourist attractions that you can visit here in Zimbabwe. And of course, I'm going to start off with, a beautiful national monument that is Great Zimbabwe, a richly historical site that carries so much pride and heritage amongst us Zimbabweans. It is located 30 kilometers from the town of Masvingo in the Masvingo province of the country. Now, this national monument, these were human settlements, rather that were inhabited in the 11th to the 15th century, and it was considered, obviously a royal city, and it spans an area of 722 hectares, and it is believed to have housed over 18,000 people. So that's how big it is. Now, the stone walls of the largest monument in the country are constructed from granite blocks collected from the rocks of the surrounding hills in around Great Zimbabwe. And this rock can be broken into pieces easily, so that's why it was used to just create a foundation. Now, all of the stone walls were built without any mortar, by just putting stones on top of each other, each layer quite more recessed than the last one, in order for it to obviously stand properly. Now, there are also 8 different birds carved of soapstone in the ruins, around the ruins of Great Zimbabwe. Now, some white people, some white historians have tried to come up with these notions that Great Zimbabwe was actually not built by the Shona people at the time. It was actually built by Europeans, which is obviously not true. I think when they got there to first see the monument, they just couldn't believe that black people could actually be this civilized and create their own, housing, find ways to house themselves on their own without the need of the white man, which of course shows that, we were always a civilized people even before the white man came. Now, because Great Zimbabwe is just a heritage site, there's really obviously no activities that you can do there, except to just visit the place. But there have been cases in this tourist attraction where people have actually gotten lost. Usually people would come in groups, because obviously you couldn't come alone. You'd come maybe with your family or your friends, but schools would go there in present time, and if you don't follow behind quickly, or you actually laugh at something that is actually not funny, you could actually end up lost. But I've never heard of cases of people going missing though. It's similar to what happens in the Chinoi caves that I talked about in part 1. You are actually not allowed to throw stones in the pool areas of the Chinoi caves, and also you have to make sure as you are traveling, if you're coming with other people, you follow behind quickly. You don't try and slow down behind, and then you actually get lost. It's the same thing with Great Zimbabwe here. You have to make sure you are following your instructor, or if you're the instructor that you're walking around with, because obviously you have to come with some instructor. You're walking around with the tour guide or whatever, to make sure that you're walking together, because if you decide to just walk slowly behind, walk way behind, and you could just easily get lost. So that's Great Zimbabwe for you. Now, another one tourist attraction that I'll talk about here is the Eastern Highlands. Now, This, of course, is a beautiful mountainous area that is located in the Manicaland province of Zimbabwe. Now, these mountains form a larger mountain that runs through Africa from the Ethiopian highlands to the Drakensberg Mountains in South Africa. Now, coming from Manicaland province myself, I can proudly say that the Eastern Highlands is to die for. Yo, that place is so beautiful. From sunset to sunrise, the view is just beyond amazing. But because there are just so many places to visit in the area, such as Tessa's pool that I will mention, later on, and the Chimani Mani, Mount Nyangani, which is really scary to go hiking there. The Vumba Mountains, which is breathtaking and so peaceful. So there's just so many places that you can visit. At the Vumba Mountains, you can visit Leopard Rock Hotel. I have had people say in the past that people would actually see a few leopards here and there in the Vumba Mountains. Considering that Eastern Highlands is not really a safari destination, I've just, you can just see baboons and monkeys in the area. So, you won't really see any wildlife. But it's definitely a good place for hiking, fishing, horse riding, golf, and most of all, camping. And many organizations, businesses, and schools, they go to the Eastern Highlands for camping to obviously create team building amongst their employees and pupils. And as one myself who has gone there several times for camping, I can really tell you will not be disappointed, because it does create a bond between you and the people that you're coming with. And you will not just be doing activities as a group, but depending on the camp or center you choose, you can also be telling each other really creepy stories as well. So it can be a really fun and cool experience, especially for young people. So obviously, if you're a lover of camping and hiking, the Eastern Highlands is definitely a good place for you. Now, I would like to now go to Nyanga, which is actually also in the Manicaland province. It is part of the Eastern Highlands. Now, this is where you will find Mount Nyangani, which is the biggest mountain in Zimbabwe. And there's also a small town in this area. Now, the area has the Matarazi Falls, which is inside the Nyanga National Park. And the surrounding areas have many Stone Age and Iron Age archaeological remains, such as pit structures, terraces, stone forts, and pathways. Now, despite Nyanga being a small town with medium and high density suburbs in Zimbabwe, it actually recruits many recruits from around the continent, because it has actually the largest army training camp in Zimbabwe. So again, because it's part of the Eastern Highlands, it is obviously a good place for camping. However, it is also another place that you just cannot afford to get lost, because there are many events where people have gone hiking in Mount Nyangani and they've never been found, especially children, because children tend to laugh at things that are not meant to be laughed at. You know how children are. Now, so for instance, personally, I remember when I went camping in Mount Nyangani, because I have gone there several times to Nyanga. And I remember we were, behind walking a camp instructor. And, when we arrived back to the camping site, one of the girls that we came with, she was like to the camp instructor, I just remembered I saw a lady in the forest, because it's a dense forest in there. It's like a jungle in there. I remember seeing a lady washing her laundry and singing, and there was a baby crying at the same time. I had no idea there are actually people who live in this area. And the camping instructor was just like, no, that's incorrect. There are no people who live in Mount Nyangani. There are no people who live here. This is not where people live. And then we all just freaked out. And he actually literally told her, look, you should have actually kept quiet about that. Things like that, you should just keep quiet and not say anything and just continue walking. And you should never laugh at anything that you see, So that is probably why a lot of children go missing, is because they tend to laugh at things that they see. And the creepy stories that you'll be told are actually apparently really actual true stories that happened, and because they actually happened, if you laugh about and make fun of those stories, something apparently could happen to you. So there has been stories of, ghosts around the area, that Mount Nyangani has a really big spiritual presence. There've even been stories of mermaids as well. So, if you don't mind, going hiking, in an area that is considered to be creepy, a bit risky, go for it. I can't, stop you from doing that. Now, another tourist attraction that I'll be talking about here is Matobo Hills. It is in the south of Matobo province. There are rocks on top of these hills that were sculptured on over thousands of years ago by the San people who lived in the area at the time. And they would use the granite on the rocks as a sort of canvas, to show off their artistic, talents. And they would use certain minerals and natural pigments to paint on the sheltered rocks and walls of the caves. Now, traditional ceremonies and, even cult rituals, traditional religious groups, African religious groups, they come into this area to do their weekly meetings and to pray, and these traditional ceremonies are done there so as to bring rain. Like, it's a rain making process, because it's, they usually do it when there's a drought or like a heat wave. The Matobo Hills is also a place where one can easily get lost. So this is just one of the few areas in the country where people have gotten lost, and they say, you can't afford to be out here laughing at things as well. It's a good place, though, for camping, hiking, marathons, biking, yoga, game viewing, and cultural activities. There's also some lodging available if you want to actually stay in the area. Unfortunately, the bad part about this area is that it has the grave of Cecil John Rhodes, which kind of puts me off personally. Cecil Rhodes was the prime minister, in case you didn't know, of the Cape Colony in the late 19th century. And so basically his remains are buried in the Matobo Hills. And if you're not, if you've never been a fan of colonizers, of course, you should probably you might not be interested in visiting that part of the area. I don't know, it's up to you. According to your own personal agendas, it really is up to you. But personally, I wouldn't, I've never gone to check the grave. I really don't understand why the grave is there. It is still there. There has been a debate of where they should put the grave, where should it go, should it still remain there, because this is someone who colonized us. I mean, come on, But yeah, that's just obviously another story for another day. So yeah, if you love some biking, yoga, and all that stuff, this is definitely a good place for you. Now, the last tourist attraction we'll be talking about is Tessa's Pool in Chimanimani, which is, of course, in the Eastern Highlands, the Benicalin province of Zimbabwe that we had covered earlier on. Now, Tessa's Pools was named after a white Rhodesian's daughter. So what happened was, he was being shown a map, the map of the area, and by a surveyor friend, and of the whole of Chimanimani, and that's how he ended up naming it after his daughter, by looking at a map and just deciding. This happened in the 1960s. Now, it is really one of the most beautiful waterfalls in the whole of Chimanimani. So that doesn't mean it's the only waterfall. There are other waterfalls that are there in the area, and there's a lot of rock climbing that is done here, and there are actually sand bushman rock sites that you can see. You can also do some fishing in the dam. So yeah, it's also a pretty good romantic place for you lovers out there, for the couples out there, especially the newlyweds. So it is a good destination for that. And yeah, you can visit it as a tourist, of course, but you have to get permission from Outward Bound, which is a non-profit organization that deals with experiential learning in an outdoor environment. So they offer courses on leadership, team building, confidence, etc. amongst, for different types of groups such as churches, businesses, schools, and so forth. So yeah, guys, that's it for the last 5 tourist attractions in Zimbabwe that you can visit. I really, really do hope some of you actually consider to come and visit so many of our beautiful places in our beautiful country, Zimbabwe. Well, that's it from me. You can, of course, follow us, African Diaspora News Channel, on Facebook. That is African Diaspora News Channel on Facebook. We are also on Instagram as African Diaspora News Channel. And, of course, you can follow me, Maritawana, on Instagram at Ndini Actress _Wacho. That is Ndini Actress _Wacho. I'm also on Twitter at Ndini Actress. So from me and the team, it's bye for now. Cheers!
Colonization never ended in the white supremacist system. And as we see today, the colonization is in the mind. Now, those who have been enslaved and those who have been colonized, we're still dealing with the remnants of that through the colonization of the mind. Pick up my book, 7 Steps to Decolonize the Mind, and we will help deprogram you from the colonization that was put upon you by generations and generations of white supremacy. You can pick it up today on Amazon.com.